Hello wonderful people, welcome back to Liam Taylor Guitar, where today I'm super excited to bring you this interview with beatmaker, podcaster and online music maker Dan Le Sac. Thank you to Dan for giving up his time to come and talk to me about music creation, the music industry and all kinds of stuff in between, and some stuff that is just not even kind of related to either of those things. I've put some links to Dan's music in the description below, and I'd also like to mention Dan's podcast, Falling Forward with Dan Le Sac, which is a series of interviews with various creative people broadly around the topic of creativity. It's currently one of my favourite podcasts, so I would highly recommend it. It's available, I think, basically wherever you get podcasts. I'd also like to mention how massively grateful I am to the staff at Open in Norwich. Open is a youth charity based in the city centre in Norwich. They do amazing work making a positive difference to the lives of young people in Norfolk, and they were also really helpful when I, at the last minute, didn't have a place to record this interview. So yeah, truly, thank you. They genuinely do amazing work that is worth checking out, so I've put more information and links in the description below for them as well. One last thing, I've got a handful of these interviews now, and another one I'm currently editing, as well as a few longer form videos, so I'm contemplating making some of these available as a podcast. You know, that new medium that literally everyone is doing already. And actually for this interview being audio only, that would make more sense than having a video, really, wouldn't it? So if you want this or anything that I've done so far available as a podcast, you can sign up to my newsletter. Links in the description, of course. And you know what? I'll probably give you guys on my newsletter access to the podcast before anyone else. So, incentive, right? Anyway, on with the interview.
I'm going to be eating cake. Listeners.
You eat cake, so if you hear the sound of someone eating cake, that's what that is. Feel free to sample that and use it in your own work, should you so choose. Although it'll be slightly roomy cake. This is what we call a cold open, isn't it? You just sort of ease into it, and it's actuality.
I don't know the terms. This is how I
could
start
be wrong.
my podcast. I hit record immediately as soon as we're both sat down.
Yeah, just
hit record, and then you just talk. And there's always a point where, if you notice on mine, I fade in on the punchline.
To a joke you don't hear.
To a joke you don't hear.
Yeah.
Or like something just really tangentially out of context to the rest of it. It's kind of nice. I try not to do too much to it, like very little editing.
Do you want to give us a really brief overview of who you are and what you do?
My name's Dan Le Sac. I used to be in a band called Dan Le Sac versus Scroobius Pip. That ended in 2014. No, we're not going to do any more records. After like nearly 10 years of working together. And I am a musician first, podcaster second. I now do really self-indulgent left field weirdness, which you can find on my BandCamp and Instagram, actually. I put loads of clips on Instagram.
It's all about Instagram now.
Apparently, I don't know, it's videos and they're short. It makes sense to me. And I do game soundtracks here and there. I've done a couple for Mike Bithell. Bithell Studios, I don't know what they call it.
You do a little bit of Twitch streaming as well? Or not so much these days?
I actually was at a music industry conference this week.
Oh yeah.
To talk about Twitch, and I found it really funny. They invited me like 3 months after I decided to cut back dramatically. Because I was doing Twitch full time.
Right, yeah.
Like 40, 50 hours a week. And it was just getting in the way of other stuff.
Yeah.
And although I was earning, I still wasn't earning enough to justify the hours.
Yeah.
So I kind of cut back. So now I do definitely one a week, but I try to do two, just like 6 hour-ish streams a week. And it's partially for me as well, because that's about just talking to other humans.
Yeah.
But since I started the podcast back in March this year, I have the opportunity to talk to other humans and like leave the house. Today I'm going to talk to 2 human beings.
Wow, man.
Potentially 3.
Big day.
I know.
First structural question, something which I'm asking everyone at the moment. Can you recall your first musical experience, whether positive, whether negative?
First
ever, the first time you encountered music, and what did it do to you?
I remember listening to Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, but yeah, it's really kind of loose, and Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells.
Yeah.
Like that stuff was just there and on, but I don't have like that moment where I'm listening to music, you know.
Right, yeah.
I didn't really start relating to music in that way until my teens. And then there was a bit of that was still about just trying to fit in with other people, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I like this band. Oh, do you? I'll go listen to that band and I'll understand that band so we can be friends. So I was at school in the 90s, so it was Pearl Jam, Nirvana. But yeah, I was into Depeche Mode.
Right, yeah.
Because I come from Essex and they came from down the road, and Joy Division and New Order and stuff. So no one else at school gave a fuck about any of that.
Yeah. Was there a moment that you thought music could be something that you would be more active in enjoying? Maybe it's something you wanted to try yourself?
Kinda.
Yeah.
My cousin was a music producer. He did loads of like music for adverts, like a really racist chocolate bar in Saudi Arabia. He did the music to that advert.
Was the music racist?
The music was fine.
Okay.
It was just actually the name
Okay, I think I know where you're going
of
with
the
that.
product. But yeah, no, it was all my cousin Billy. I've said
Interesting.
Like he gets mentioned in every liner notes of the Dan and Pip albums and stuff. He was making music and I kind of got into it. I'm not a very dexterous person.
Sure.
So drum machines and stuff gave me a way in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm left-handed. My teacher at school tried to teach me guitar right-handed.
Yeah.
Which was
Why
difficult.
do they do that? Just flip it, man.
I was trying to think about that the other day. My left hand being the fretboard hand makes loads of sense now.
Yes, yeah. I've got a mate who's a kick-ass bassist who is left-handed but plays a short scale right-handed bass. But because all of his stuff is kind of pop and slap based, I think he finds that easy because it's all in his picking hand rather than his fretting hand, I guess. So that works for that style, but he's like the only person I know that's had like massive success.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was one of those.
So this kind of links into talking about Twitch earlier and maybe this conference that you went to. In very nearly in 2020, the word musician basically is a shorthand for someone who's doing a million side hustles and a variety of side hustles. And I mean, I'm doing it too. My day job's in music education. I do YouTube, I do bits of podcasting, yada, all this different stuff. And I think you're the same because you're podcasting, Twitch every now and again.
Yeah.
Some actual music creation from time to time.
Occasionally.
And are you still doing photography?
So, yeah, I still teach photography.
Yeah.
It's only once a month.
Sure.
I work with a photographer. We kind of trade off his name because he's got a very particular style.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if you have any insight into why it is that we're doing so many different things and still kind of just calling ourselves musicians.
because we were before.
Do you think?
10, 15 years ago, when you could still make money selling CDs, you still didn't make all your money selling CDs.
Sure,
you got out on the road and toured. A lot of musicians would be doing session stuff for other bands, and it's always been the side hustle. It's just because the actual selling of music is no longer viable other than, okay, if you're a solo artist unsigned, minimum wage is 320,000 streams a month.
Yeah.
You know, if you're signed, double that, because usually it's 50-50 deal these days. So, okay, we're getting up into the 700,000. So if there's 2 of you in the band and you're signed, that's 1.4 million. If there's 4 of you, that's 2.8 million streams a month.
Wow, you've done so much maths.
Well, it's just stuff. It's just stuff that's in my head. But because the value of the music itself has diminished, you need a different set of side hustles.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so I genuinely think that people were always hustling, were always doing those additional things.
It's just that technologically we've
like how many indie
evolved.
bands were doing DJ sets?
Yeah, true.
We
yeah,
always
yeah.
think of that as part of the live thing, but that's part of the side hustle.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know? So it's that on one hand that you have to, in the business terms, diversify.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what it says in my notes. Good
Nice.
stuff. Good stuff.
But the other side of that is that there are side hustles that can still keep you independent now.
Yeah.
You know, the side hustles 15 years ago all still interrelated to your label, agent, publisher, any of these people you'd sign contracts to. Whereas now, an artist can have their YouTube channel generating $5 a month and have their this over here, and they can control far bigger chunks of that. And I think it becomes really obvious when someone's side hustling because they've gravitated towards wanting to be able to control it rather than wanting to cash in. You know? I don't really make money from the podcast.
Sure.
I make a little bit from Twitch. I still make royalties from the Dan and Pip stuff.
Oh, cool.
I've not paid tax in like 4 years because I haven't reached
You're not
minimum,
earning enough to,
you know, but that's fine. You know?
It's very weird positive, but yeah, I do find myself thinking that. Do you have a songwriting process? Does your songwriting process differ depending on the project, and has it changed over time?
Kinda. Yes, it differs. Yes, it's changed.
Because you're doorless, or you're experimenting with completely hardware-based stuff at the moment? Or is that more of like, let's see where this goes, rather than, oh, there's money in this?
There's never money in it.
Sure, okay.
Like, there's, like, not in like obviously I want to earn money and I will occasionally make decisions focused on the financial side rather than the creative side. I did the spreadsheet for working out what I want to spend on the next album, and there were financial decisions made there, not creative ones. So I'm not like, I'd never sell out, man. I'm just waiting for an appropriate fee, basically. But like, I started, again, I'm 40 years old, so I started with a guitar and a delay pedal and a 4-track. I never owned a 4-track, I borrowed 4 tracks. That's where I started. Actually, I did own a 4-track that I got out of the Argos catalogue, and it wasn't even branded. It wasn't a Yamaha Portero 2.
Was it Argos branded or just
blank? You know,
falling off the back of some
the
lorry?
Cheapest one. There was no, you couldn't pan the tracks. It just literally had a selector for which track and a gain. That was it.
Wow.
There was no like mixing it on the way out either. You had to get it right on the way in, which was kind of rad. But that's where I started, and that's where I am at now. Really.
It's kind of cyclical.
It's just that I'm working out how to do more with less at the moment. The problem is I've worked indoors my whole life, and like the next game soundtrack will pretty much be entirely in a DAW. I haven't told the dev this yet, but all the vocals are going to be Vocaloid.
Nice.
So they need to give me another 500 quid on the budget so I can buy a Vocaloid 0.5 or whatever. So it definitely changes with the project, but changing your process is sometimes a good way to get out of creative ruts, you know? I'm up here today not just to talk to you, I'm going to talk to a musician called Nathan Fake, who's an electronic musician, like 4th album, but he had like a big creative block and he couldn't get out of it until he bought a really janky synth and learned how to use it. You know, called Prophecy, like the most complex mono synth on the planet. It's a weird synth that didn't really take off, but you know, him having to work that out was a change in process, you know? So it's that thing of, you have to evolve how you do a thing, because otherwise you start forming habits. Okay, so now I'm going to bring the drums in. I am going to do, you know, so doing it in different ways. is really helpful whether you're writing traditional songs or creating electronic soundscapes or whatever. That's why I'm always envious of people who are in like 8 bands.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly changing your process.
Yeah, yeah.
You're constantly bouncing around, taking on different approaches. Even if it was 8 identical metal bands,
you'd still be different projects.
Picking up different things from different people.
Yeah, definitely. If you can find that many drummers.
Oh, there's only one drummer.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Everyone just shares the drummer.
Changes hair every time.
His name's Paul in Reading.
Paul the drummer.
Yeah. Pip used him on Pip's tour.
Oh yeah.
And I just found it funny. Like he couldn't even get his own Essex drummer. He had to come to Reading and get one of mine.
Still the only one in Reading. Perfect. Yeah, it's interesting talking about the sort of creative restrictions thing. And I went in some Wikipedia hole and was learning about the 30-year trend cycle. Do you know about this? So fashion, music and art repeats itself every 30 years. I wonder if that's why we're seeing cassettes make a big comeback. And I sort of, before I saw Heimbach doing it, I found just myself going down this mental train of, I could get DJ turntables, but rather than flipping between beats, I could flip between 2 different cassette players. A minor, C minor. This is crazy. It sounds janky. I love it. And then a few weeks later, I see Heimbach's doing essentially the same thing.
But like
why
tape
cassettes?
dubbing was how people always talk about samplers being the birth of hip hop. It's like the first hip hop tracks were tape dubs.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know, disco evolves into house through the 12-inch edit was literally cutting tape together to extend a track. But the thing about that 30-year cycle is I don't think it's a predestined thing. I don't think that it's always going to happen. Yeah. It's just that it's interesting to look back, you know? The stuff me and Jake Hicks teach on the photography workshop now, because we use a huge amount of coloured light, gel lighting.
Saturated,
But we're just teaching them the stuff we learnt at university 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, we get into very narrow views of the world. Like, if you talk to someone who all they're into is modular synths, they see the world in a really specific way. Yet they all get excited about something because someone, I don't know, you're going to gravitate towards what's different, but you're also going to be inspired by what already exists. So you end up just recycling as a culture, which is fun.
Yeah.
But like this idea that cassettes are back, like cassettes as a writing tool never went away.
Okay, interesting.
You know, I know people who were like digital, like sort of Skrillexy dubstep people who have been using VHS for, not ADAT as well, like literally VHS as just to soften up the bottom end, to lose some of that digital edge, but not have that loss of quality you'll get from cassette. You know, it's from a creative side, I don't think tape went away. I just think that now you can pick up a Tascam Portro 2 really cheap. You know, the one I'm using was given to me by Look Mum No Computer.
Oh yeah.
The other one I've got is a guy called Pete from Pete and the Pirates.
Okay.
From his band, he lent me that one. So it's kind of like, but you can get them cheap. It's easy to do. There's tutorials, you know. So that is another thing that happens is as technology gets outmoded, you can buy it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
You can buy an Akai S900 now for less than 100 quid. So maybe you go and use that instead of using whatever on your laptop. I don't know. It's interesting. There's a bit of me that would, in an ideal world, if someone gave me $5,000 today and told me to do whatever I want, I would build a late 80s studio. You know, I would like super limited, step sequences, etc. But a lot of digital synths and stuff. But all the stuff you would have if you were just like a working class person building a studio. Nothing worth any money. I think I'd have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, massively. So we talked a little bit about you're not so concerned or you don't prioritize earning money, how do you measure success of one of your releases?
If I earn enough money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is money. You lie.
No. Like, I'm not prioritizing money on the way in.
Sure.
But like, once you've written the record, like, success to me, if I've chosen to release something, that means I've already got all the dopamine I can from creating it. You know, I've decided it's good enough for the world to hear, and I'm happy. So I've already won. It's already succeeded in making me happy. The next phase is, can I make the money back?
Right, yeah.
You know, so in releasing a record, success is not losing cash.
Yeah.
And maybe big success is funding the next record off the last record.
Yeah.
But I know that the achievement is the writing, but the success is the survival.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it's interesting to sort of divide it in that way.
When it comes down to it, like, I don't think you can measure success anyway. Like, it's just whether you're happy with it or not.
Yeah.
And if you're, like, success financially is really hard to measure. Like, someone might hear your thing, they might not buy it, they might hear it on Spotify or whatever, but they may go on and tell a few people, and they may buy a t-shirt or whatever. It's like, it's really hard to gauge any of it. It just comes down to the end of the month, have you paid your rent and are you happy?
Yeah.
Which, I know it's meant to be more rock and roll than that, but it's not. And like bands are full of spreadsheets, and you know, I've seen bands like, so when you go on tour, once you get to a certain level and you've got a tour manager's job, their job is just to talk to the promoter, make sure shit's sorted. Like, if you've got any special requirements for the front of house desk, or like making sure your rider's there. Me and Pip had the lamest, most basic ass rider, but it's
red
fun.
M&Ms
Nothing
stuff.
like that. The only thing was, like, Pip liked drinking rosé. That was literally the only, like, demand.
That's pretty specific, but yeah, fair enough.
But it's not exactly. You can get rosé.
Yeah, it's not outlandish.
Tesco.
Yeah,
you know. So, but that was it. That was the most complex thing. You know, have we got brie for the sound man and rosé for Pip? But like, yeah, that's your tour manager's job. But it's just to take all the crappy admin out of your way.
Yeah.
So you're not the one sitting there booking the travel lodges and all
Yeah.
that. You know, like, I see bands who the tour manager has made them like a laminated book that they carry around with them, and like every page is a day of the tour, and that will tell you, you know, where you are, what time you're getting to the venue, what time sound check is, all that stuff. And that's actually what a lot of being in a band is. It's like
timetabling.
Just scheduling, getting everyone in the same room at the same time, like managing your money between you all is. Yeah, it's weird, because it's meant to be this big creative endeavour, and it becomes quite a heavy administrative burden if you have success, which is a good burden to have.
Yeah.
So it's one thing, like, when people like rag on managers, oh, their management, meh. It's like, yeah, but their management's there to make sure that they don't have to think about any of this shit, and they can write music. Like, there's a lot of managers out there who do like amazingly good jobs. There are some that are utter scumbags, but that's the same with every job. I'm pretty sure you can find a lollipop man or lady who isn't an utter scumbag, but most of them are nice people who just want to make sure kids don't die crossing the road.
So this is about music distribution rather than whatever it was I asked last time. Do you think something's going to kill YouTube or Spotify? Is there going to be any big upheaval in the next few years for music distribution?
So, neighbouring rights, which is a publishing right issue, is going to be difficult to come to terms with for an international global community. Because we've got multiple different laws going on. So this is very boring, listeners, but like dealing with how you deal with copyright in a global marketplace
Right, yeah.
is gonna sting a few people. On that note as well, there's a thing called the Internet Safe Harbor, which is why Twitch can get away with not ever, like you can just play copyrighted stuff on Twitch and all they do is mute it on the VOD, they don't mute it live.
The actual live stream.
So if the music and film industry get their asses together and deal with that, that will dramatically change what they are. But with all of these things, what will kill these websites is themselves.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a big sea shift. Like SoundCloud's a great example of a company that had a great idea, who came along at exactly the right time. So they started just before MySpace died.
Yeah.
And they were, bear in mind, when MySpace was there, they were one of few places you could upload your music to a Flash player and people couldn't just right click and download it.
Yeah.
So it was a way of sharing your music without sharing
Fear
the
of
music.
it being nicked or whatever,
And SoundCloud basically offered that, but with community features of its own.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, but artists used to pay to use SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Like 100 quid a year or something. It was a lot of money to get space and all that. But over time, SoundCloud wanted to make money.
Yeah.
And they killed off their kind of community. They weren't forums, but they were essentially forums, which killed off all the engagement of the website. And then copyright, people were like, wait, people are just uploading my track to this. That needs to stop. And then they tried to add a subscription model after Spotify had launched. It was like, but that was just bad management of them.
Yeah.
And I think what will happen with Spotify is they will eventually become a Netflix model of podcasting, of radio, of that, rather than the music side. The music side will take a step back for them. They'll start crafting exclusive content, and that'll be that. And somebody else will come in, Apple Music will do what they do.
Oof, yeah.
But the music industry's not as susceptible to other people coming along and kicking it down.
Yeah.
Because how many streaming platforms are there? So
Don't even
if
know,
you upload via DistroKid, I think
Yeah.
it goes to 200 stores.
That sounds right, yeah.
But yeah, you got loads of things. It's not like one corner trying to survive, you know. YouTube's different. What will kill YouTube is its complete inability to know what to do about free speech. And its complete inability to know how to deal with fair use and copyright.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, fair use will go to court.
Yeah.
Sometime in the next, let's say 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Whether that be Lindsay Ellis
Yeah.
and like H-Bomber guy, those guys
Yeah.
on the left going to deal with it, or the more commercial people.
Yeah.
And we'll finally get it'll go into court and hopefully there'll be a decision and fair use will be defined in terms of YouTube.
Yeah. Because that's the tricky thing. It's allegedly hard to prove that something is fair use. But I think
as well, like fair use for music hasn't been tested in court.
Yeah.
Whereas fair use for some other stuff has, so that stuff's covered sort of thing. But yeah, what defines a fair usage? Like making a joke reference where the punchline is a line from a song isn't satire of that song, isn't transformative of that song.
Yeah.
So even though satire is still a joke, and the joke only works because that song exists, so it's... And how that court case, whenever it happens, whoever runs it, but that court case will come, how that comes out will define the future of YouTube. You know,
interesting.
But
and it is interesting when music sort of gets, as you say, used to as a punchline. You sort of, What I want to say is, can you imagine Rick Astley trying to copyright strike all the Rick rolls in the world? It's never going to happen.
But he legally could.
Oh yeah, massively. It's his right to.
Yeah.
If he had of earlier, maybe there wouldn't be quite so many.
There's a weird thing with that. The first time someone does it, that's definitely infringing on his copyright.
Yes.
Kinda. It depends. But yeah, pretty much.
Broadly, yeah.
But after a while, the act of Rickrolling becomes mimetic. So it becomes
It's a reference to that initial
cultural
joke.
reference.
Yeah.
And becomes fair game. It almost becomes Creative Commons or like copyright free to Rickroll because of how much we've done it.
Yeah.
Like, it was really odd. It's like Peppy the Frog. Matt Fury has in recent years worked really hard to protect his copyright of Peppy the Frog because racists keep using it and putting it on their merchandise.
Yeah.
He's not trying to stop you posting frogs on Twitter, but that's not how copyright works.
Yes. The second you start actually directly profiting from it.
Yeah. Like copyright, trademark's even worse. Trademark, like if someone infringes on your trademark and you don't do anything about it, then no, that's you giving up your trademark.
Yeah.
You have to exercise your trademark.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
That is.
Copyright, if you don't do anything about it, you can still come back 10 years down the line and go, come on guys.
Yeah.
You know? Which the Amen Brothers, well, the Winston Brothers do the Amen break from the song Amen Brother.
Good track.
They'll come down one day.
I really wanted to try and make music out of the B-side for Amen Brother. Didn't go anywhere.
Just do it out of the brass from just before the break.
Yeah. Or I could just use your vocalization of it there.
Yeah.
Just don't sue me for
I'm
copyright.
surprised Fatboy Slim's not done it yet. I feel like it would be bang on him.
What would you say to someone who wants to do what you do?
Which bit of what I do though?
Let's just assume someone wants to exactly duplicate your precise career model as it is currently.
Like find someone more talented than you to ride on the coattails of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
I was
Absolutely.
10% of Dan Le Sac versus Scroobius Pip. But yeah, no, like just stumble forward through life.
Falling forward.
If something's interesting to you, try to grab hold of it and see where it leads you.
Dan Le Sac, thanks so much for your time, man.
No worries.
Really appreciate it.
No worries.
Glad we could make this happen.
Have a lovely day.
Yeah, I'm going to press the stop button. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you found it entertaining and helpful like I did, you might also enjoy my recent interview with YouTube channel Tantacruel. There is a link on screen now. There is also a link to one of Dan Le Sac's more recent music videos. You should check both of them out, one after the other. I know you'll love them. See you next time.